Just to make it clear from the very beginning of this video, quantum physics does not imply spirituality. It is science in the end of the day and not faith. But spirituality is always talking about quantum physics. Have you ever wondered why? If you don't know the answer, don't worry. My intention today is to help you to understand the relationship between spirituality and quantum physics. I'll explain the double slit experiment, Schrödinger's cat theory, and quantum entanglement. And if you manage to understand just a bit of quantum physics, you'll have a better idea about how reality works. So, why is it so hard to understand quantum physics? Because it requires you to understand abstract concepts, and your mind is highly trained to understand things in a very logical and linear way. Classic physics studies the macro world of physical reality, quantum physics studies the micro world of the electron, and what they see happening in one, it is not the same as what they see happening in the other. Let's start with the double slit experiment. It is not a theory, it is a real experiment and you can find many videos about it. The first thing you need to know is how particles and waves behave in the macro world of physical reality. As particles, you can picture tiny pieces of marbles, and as waves, you can picture a wave that's formed when you throw a pebble in the water. The setup for the experiment works like this. At the front, you have a screen with two slits, and at the back, you have a wall. When you throw particles, they go straight through both slits and they mark two bends in the back wall. When you send a wave, after passing through both slits, it becomes two, and every time one wave touches the other, they cancel each other and form another one. So by the time they reach the back wall, you have multiple bands marked as a result of this interference pattern. So far so good, quite easy to understand. Particles go straight through the slits and form two bands on the wall. Waves have an interference pattern and form multiple bands. Now let's talk about the craziness that happens in the quantum world. When the scientists did the experiment with electrons, they were expecting them to behave like a particle, but they didn't. They behaved like a wave. So they thought that the electrons were bouncing and hitting each other, causing an interference pattern. And to avoid that, they decided to shoot one electron at a time. And guess what? They continue to behave like a wave. Crazy, right? I know, but wait, because what happened next is even more weirder. They decided to check what was happening, so they put a measurement device to see what the electron was doing when it was passing through the slits, and it got even more confusing because as if the electron knew it was being observed, it changed the behavior and started to act like a particle. Yep, you got it right. When not observed, the electron behaves like a wave. When observed, it behaves like a particle. So, what does this whole crazy experiment implies? Scientists like to use proper terminology like wave of probabilities and interference patterns, but let me simplify this concept to you. Even when you shoot one electron at a time, what is happening is, when you are not looking, the same electron coexists in multiple places at the same time. All the probabilities of its possible locations are equally real. And this electron is interfering with all these other versions of itself. That's why it behaves like a wave. But when you look at it, it collapses and assumes only one of the probable positions. That's why it starts to behave like a particle. As you can see, the observer is a very key factor in quantum physics because it determines the outcome. If you want to understand better what is the observer, just replace the word by consciousness. To help you to understand the difference between classic physics and quantum physics, I'll explain the Schrödinger's cat, which is a theory that illustrates very well the double slit experiment. If you put a cat inside a box with a bottle of poison and you close the box and break the bottle, the question is the cat alive or dead? Classic physics will say the cat is alive or dead. Quantum physics will say the cat is alive and dead. While the box is closed, both probabilities coexist, they're equally real. Only when you open the box and observe what happened to the cat, then reality will collapse into one probability or another. There is one more real experiment that I want to talk about today, the quantum entanglement. In short, what scientists figured is that when two electrons are connected or entangled, they communicate with each other instantaneously, regardless of the distance. Let's say that I'm here in Brazil and I send my DNA to New Zealand, and whatever happens to me here, my DNA there responds to it at the same time, which means that the information gets there without traveling through time and space. Classic physics has a hard time to explain that as well, because in the quantum world, time and space don't seem to exist, and in our physical reality, they are very real. Now, let me translate to you what all these crazy experiments mean in your life. You are made of electrons, but you don't see other versions of yourself walking around, do you? Well, you don't see them because your consciousness, the observer, is focused on this reality that you are experiencing right now, and the other versions exist in parallel realities. To understand it better, think about a TV. You have different channels playing different movies. The fact that you are watching only one movie doesn't mean the others don't exist. They're still there, they're just playing in a different frequency. We need to add another factor. As quantum entanglement suggests, time does not exist, which means that all these movies are already made. All these stories are already there from beginning to end. But because you are watching frame by frame, you have a perception of time. Your consciousness is just like a person watching TV. It has all these movies and all these channels. It is constantly navigating through them, looking for the best experience to explore. It already does that, even if you don't know. So main message here is, if you are not happy with the movie of your life that you are watching right now, change the channel. You have this power. And then you might ask, but how do I do that? The universe is pure energy, and the language of energy is frequency and vibration. And your brain and your heart are the most energetic centers in your body. So what you believe, what you think, and what you feel have a huge impact on which kind of reality you are experiencing. Your mind and your heart are your remote control to change channels. And by the way, that's what the law of attraction and law of manifestation teach. They talk about manifesting what you want, but actually it is more about shifting to a parallel reality that you prefer because it already exists. That's why they talk about visualizing and feeling as if it was real, because it will change your frequency and vibration, which in turn will help you to change the channel. By explaining quantum physics today, that's the most important thing that I wanted you to understand. You create your own reality, and it is becoming common knowledge because even science is going towards this direction. Spirituality uses quantum physics to explain other things as well. I'll just mention two more because I don't want this video to be too long. Quantum entanglement explains telepathy. If you pay attention, I'm sure you'll notice that you exchange telepathic thoughts with people that you are connected to. And the quantum field talks about an unified field of consciousness. Does that sound familiar? We are all one, we're all connected. If you watched this video until here, I have a question for you. Was my explanation clear and simple enough to help you to understand a bit more of quantum physics today? I really would love to know that, so please let me know in the comments. Other than that, I really hope today's content has helped you somehow. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.